So, today we're going to talk about a man whose sheer force of will literally forged a modern nation from the ashes of a dying empire. We're talking, of course, about Mustafa Kemal. Yeah, that quote pretty much nails it, doesn't it? It really sets the stage for everything. His entire life was this incredible story of gaining and using power, first as a soldier and later as the statesman who had earned the name Atatürk, the father of the Turks.
So to really get who this guy was, you have to go right back to the beginning, back when he was just a young, super ambitious officer. And you got to understand, he wasn't just a product of the military. No, he was a product of a collapsing empire. And that context, well, it's everything.
Now, at the heart of all this turmoil was this secret society, the Committee of Union and Progress. You've probably heard of them as the Young Turks. They were basically the brains and the muscle behind the revolution. And guess who was right there in the thick of it all? A young Mustafa Kemal.
Okay, so just look at this timeline. It's a story of pure brilliance and defiance. He's born in Salonika, this buzzing, multicultural city. He aces his way through the most elite military schools in the empire. But his ambition wasn't just about climbing the ladder. It was about tearing it down. I mean, he gets arrested for subversive activities almost the second he graduates. That tells you everything you need to know. He wasn't just a good soldier, he was a revolutionary from the get-go. And this wasn't happening in a vacuum. The Ottoman Empire was, frankly, falling apart at the seams. For Kemal and his friends, reading these forbidden patriotic books wasn't just a hobby, it was a call to arms. They figured if the state was spying on people for reading certain books, then the state itself was the problem.
All right, so you've got this brilliant, rebellious officer. What happens next? Well, World War I happens. And this is the moment. This is the crucible that transforms Mustafa Kemal from a problem for the government into a national hero. What he did at Gallipoli, it became the stuff of legend. And let's be crystal clear about the stakes here. This wasn't some minor skirmish in the middle of nowhere. The Allies were going for the jugular. Their plan was simple. Take the capital, Constantinople, and knock the Ottoman Empire out of the war in one shot. Game over.
This is where the story gets almost unbelievable. You have his German commanding officer, a seasoned pro, expecting a textbook assault. But Kemal, he looks at the same map and sees something totally different. He jabs his finger at these two rugged, insanely difficult spots and says, "They're coming here." And you know what? He was 100% right.
But that victory, it came at a horrifying price. Just look at these numbers. It was absolutely brutal. And it was Kemal's iron will, his refusal to back down against impossible odds, that prevented a total collapse and saved the day.
But here's the thing. Even a legendary victory like Gallipoli couldn't save the empire. It was just too late. After the war ended, with foreign ships in Istanbul's harbor and enemy troops on Turkish soil, Kemal, the empire's best commander, had a choice to make: accept defeat or start a whole new fight.
And what he did next was a massive gamble. He resigned from the army. He took off the uniform that was the source of all his power and became a civilian. He understood that the next battle wouldn't be won with military orders, but with political leadership. It was a huge risk, but he knew it was necessary.
And he was so incredibly strategic about it. He didn't just show up and start a revolution. No, first he used his official job as an army inspector as a cover to travel deep into Anatolia. Then he started bringing together all these scattered resistance groups into one movement. And the final move? He established a brand new parliament in Ankara, directly challenging the Sultan's power.
So this created this completely wild situation. Two governments claiming to rule the same country. In Istanbul, you had the Sultan, who was pretty much a prisoner of the Allies. And then, hundreds of miles away in Ankara, you had Kemal and his new government saying, "Nope, we represent the real will of the Turkish people." Well, you can't have two governments for long, right? Something had to give. This whole situation set the stage for the final act, a brutal, bloody war of independence. This wasn't a fight for an old empire anymore. This was a fight for the soul of a new Turkish nation.
The absolute turning point was the Battle of Sakarya. 22 days, just think about that. For 22 straight days and nights, the nationalist army, exhausted and outnumbered, simply refused to break. This was the moment the tide of the war turned for good, and it saved the entire revolution. After winning on the battlefield, the political revolution moved at lightning speed. With a single vote in Ankara, they did the unthinkable. They abolished the Sultanate. And just like that, 600 years of Ottoman imperial history vanished.
And less than a year later, they took the final step. The assembly made it official. Turkey was now a republic. The new nation, born out of war and revolution, finally had its name.
The transformation, for both the country and the man, was capped off by one last, really powerful symbolic act. In 1934, when a new law required all Turks to take a surname, the assembly gave him a unique one, Atatürk, father of the Turks. The rebel soldier was now, officially, the father of his country. So, we're left with this powerful question. The story of Atatürk is this incredible reminder that history isn't just something that happens to us. It's often forged by the relentless, unstoppable will of a single person who sees a different future and has the guts and the power to make it happen.